Tonight, you will climb into bed, pull a blanket over your body, close your eyes, and lie perfectly still in a dark room completely by yourself. And if everything goes well, you will stay that way for the next 8 hours. That is what a good night's sleep looks like. That is what you have been told your whole life. But here is the thing. That picture, solo, silent, sealed off, is one of the strangest sleeping arrangements in the entire history of your species. The real answer is far stranger than you think. For almost all of human existence, sleeping alone was not rest. It was danger. Your body still knows this. That is why you feel it. That low hum of unease when the house is too quiet. That faint restlessness when the bed feels too empty. You have probably blamed it on stress, on your phone, on too much caffeine. But there is something older underneath it. Something wired in long before you were born. Sleep is one of the most vulnerable states a human body can enter. Your muscles relax. Your senses dim. Your reaction time drops to nearly zero. For a social primate living on an open savanna 200,000 years ago, falling unconscious alone was not a choice you made twice. The predators that hunted your ancestors did not keep daylight hours. The threats came at night. And the only protection you had was warmth, numbers, and the sound of other breathing bodies around you. Anthropologist David Sampson at the University of Toronto has spent years studying sleep across primate species. What he found reframes everything. Great apes, our closest living relatives, almost never sleep alone. Chimpanzees sleep in groups. Bonobos cluster together. Even the most solitary great apes choose to nest near others when a threat is present. Solo sleeping, Sampson argues, is not the primate default. It is the exception. And your brain was built for the rule, not the exception. Think about what happens when you do sleep beside someone. Your cortisol levels drop. Your heart rate slows. A 2010 study by researcher Wendy Troxel at the University of Pittsburgh tracked married couples over years of sleep data and found something that stunned the research team. Women in stable relationships had lower rates of sleep disturbance, woke less frequently through the night, and reported deeper sleep quality than their single counterparts. The body, when it senses another trusted presence, essentially exhales. It stops scanning. It stops waiting for the threat that never came. That signal your body sends is not emotional. It is ancient. It is biological. There is a system in your brain called the social safety network. It runs through the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, the part of you that processes threat. When you are alone, especially in darkness, that system runs hotter. It stays slightly activated. It keeps one thread of your attention pulled toward the perimeter, even while the rest of you tries to sleep. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, whose research on sleep architecture has changed how scientists understand rest, describes this as a kind of neurological night watch. Your brain never fully stands down. Not when you are alone. Not completely. But place a familiar, trusted body beside you, and something shifts. The threat signal quiets. The night watch relaxes. Your brain is allowed, finally, to sink into the deeper stages of sleep. The slow-wave sleep and REM sleep, where memory consolidates, where the immune system repairs, where emotional regulation resets. The stages you actually need. You are not just sleeping. You are completing a circuit your species has run for 200,000 years. Now ask yourself this. When did sleeping alone become the standard? The answer is surprisingly recent, and it did not come from biology. It came from architecture. For most of recorded history, even in settled agricultural societies, beds were shared, not just between couples, between families, between travelers, between strangers in inns who simply needed a place to lie down. Historian A. Roger Eckert, who spent decades researching pre-industrial sleep patterns, documented that in medieval Europe and early modern households, the idea of one person to one bed was considered wasteful, even bizarre. A cold bed alone was not luxury. It was poverty. Heat was life. Bodies were warmth. You slept near people because sleeping near people was how you survived the night. The shift came with industrialization. Suddenly there was money. Suddenly there were more rooms. Suddenly privacy became something you could buy, and privacy became something you wanted to be seen buying. By the 19th century, separate sleeping quarters had become a status symbol in the growing middle class. By the 20th century, the single bed in the single room had been reframed entirely, not as isolation, but as independence, not as a deprivation, as an achievement. And a child who slept alone without crying was called a good sleeper. A baby who self-soothed in a separate room was called healthy. A teenager who wanted their own space was called mature. But the biology underneath all of this had not changed, not even slightly. Developmental psychologist James McKenna at the University of Notre Dame has studied infant sleep for over 3 decades. His research on co-sleeping cultures, particularly in Japan and Southeast Asia, reveals a striking pattern. Infants in those cultures cry significantly less through the night. They regulate their breathing more evenly. Their heart rate variability, a key marker of nervous system health, is measurably more stable when sleeping near a caregiver. The infant is not weak for needing proximity. The infant is doing exactly what 200,000 years of human evolution designed them to do. The need does not disappear when you grow up. It changes shape. Think about the last time you were sick, truly sick. Fever, chills, the whole weight of illness pressing you flat. What did you want? Almost certainly, you wanted someone near. Not to talk, not to do anything, just to be there. That pull is not weakness. That pull is your Paleolithic nervous system recognizing a state of vulnerability and sending up the ancient signal. Gather the tribe. Do not face this alone. The tribe is not coming, for most of us. We have built a world of remarkable individual comfort and remarkable collective isolation. Private bedrooms, private apartments, smart home systems that respond to your voice. Every convenience imaginable except the one your nervous system has been quietly asking for since the first night of your life. Sleep scientist Russell Foster at the University of Oxford has written extensively about the hidden costs of social disconnection on human biology. The data consistently points in one direction. Chronic loneliness and chronic solo sleeping is one of its underreported markers, activates the same stress pathways as physical pain. The body does not distinguish cleanly between a broken bone and a broken social bond. Both register as threat. Both keep the night watch running. You were not built to lie alone in the dark. You were built to feel a shoulder near yours, to hear breath that is not your own, to let your nervous system recognize, even in sleep, that the perimeter is held, that you are not the only one watching. That is what your ancestors had every single night for nearly all of human history. Not silence, not a smart mattress, not a white noise machine doing its best impression of a world that is not trying to kill you. They had each other. So tonight, when you pull that blanket up and feel the bed stretch wide and quiet around you, and when that low hum underneath the silence does not quite let you go, you will know what that is now. It is not insomnia. It is not anxiety. It is not a flaw in your design. It is 200,000 years of knowing that the safest place to close your eyes has always been next to someone who will still be there when they open.